This is Garden Jen. Welcome to my journey. Let's see what's in store today. Hey everybody. Today we're going to talk about herbs and harvesting herbs. It's October now and most of the garden's starting to shut down, but we still have some herbs that we can harvest before they're completely killed off. I use a dehydrator to preserve my herbs. If you have the ability, you can also hang them up to dry that way, and that'll work as well. Some seeds and things, it's kind of hard to hang them up to dry. But anyways, we're going to go through the garden today with what's left of my herbs. And I'm going to explain to you how I preserve them. This is the lemon balm plant, and I've already harvested some today. What I do with this is I cut the stems. Like this one I won't use because it's not a very good one for preserving. But this one down here, the leaves are bigger, and it's got more on it. I'll cut those off, and then I'll just strip the stems of the leaves and put them in my dehydrator tray. But if you didn't have a dehydrator, you could simply hang the stems up, bunch them together, hang them up from a rafter, like in your basement or in your shed, someplace that's dark and dry, and they'll dry that way as well. Lemon balm is a very good plant. This is a yellow calendula. I also have gold, and we'll go there in a minute. This is valerian. Valerian is good for sleep and relaxation and other things. This plant was actually really huge. It's dying back because of the cool weather. But you have to wait a couple of years for the roots to get established for valerian. And then what you do with valerian is you actually dig it up. You can go to split the roots, and you'll take the roots and you'll separate them from the plant and dry them. And that's what you use for valerian. This is the fennel seed bloom. This is the fennel right here, and it's in its second year, so it throws up a big bloom like this. And then after the bloom, you get the seed pods, and that's what you use in the fennel. Or not, this is leeks, sorry. But same thing with the fennel. I'll take you over there. You save the seeds from the seed pods, and that's what you use. This here is lavender. See if I can get you in closer. And lavender, you can use the whole thing, but a lot of people just use the flower buds. Here, you can see a lot of them are starting to die off because of the weather. But here's a beautiful one here. It's brand new buds. And I usually harvest about 50% of the flowers. That way my pollinator friends have flowers to still use for pollination. This is a citronella plant here mixed in with some Queen's Anne lace. I didn't pull that out yet, but citronella is supposed to be a deterrent of mosquitoes and things. I really haven't found that to work very well. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys find citronella to work for repelling of insects. Alright, so this is my orange calendula. This is the one that I'm most familiar with. This is what is used for first aid treatment for cuts, scrapes, minor burns, things like that. It's a very good topical for that. You can see I have a little bee friend in there. And again, same with the lavender. I harvest about 50% of the blooms and then leave the rest for my pollinator friends. So these, you just cut the bloom off, the bud off, when they're open like this, and then set them on a dehydrator tray to dry out. Or you can use the fresh ones to infuse in oil and things like that for the properties as well. This here is mugwort. You use the leaves in mugwort. They're very interesting leaves. And this plant didn't do so well this year. As you can see, it's not very healthy. So I really haven't harvested a lot. I wanted it not to die, so to speak. So I've just left it alone this year. But what you do is you just cut the leaves off here, cut the stalks off, strip the stems of its leaves, or hang the stems up in bunches and allow the leaves to dry. And then you can use leaves in herbs and teas. Excuse me, herbal teas. If you are pregnant or things like that, you do not touch this plant because this plant actually causes miscarriages and things like that. It's very potent for that, so do not touch it if you are pregnant. Over here, this fuzzy little guy, I really love the texture of it. And then you can see the flower pods that have gone to seed. This is yarrow, and you can use the whole plant on this. So you can just trim off the stems, and again, strip the stems. Use the flower heads when they're in flower and bloom, and just dry it all, and that works very well. This is echinacea, or purple cone flower. It's mostly dead. You can see I do have a purple cone right there. This is another one of those that you actually dig up the plant and use the roots. So I'm not going to do it this year because you can see it's still a small plant. But as it gets bigger, when it starts really growing out, that's when I'll start dividing it and start saving the roots for that. Then I have some sage over here. This is a second-year plant. You want your perennial plants to at least have a good year before you really start harvesting them. That way they can get a good root structure, and they'll make it through the winter and into the next spring. So I've already trimmed this back. You can see here some fresh cuts. I just trim the stems. Like here's one that I didn't cut here, I should have. But you just trim this back, and what I generally do is, you see the junctures where there's new stems growing out. That's what I usually trim it back to, as a juncture. And then I'll just take the stems or the leaves right off the stems, put them in my dehydrator. Or again, you can hang up the whole stem and dry it that way. This is the fennel, and it's just starting to dry. This is what the flower looks like. And then as the flowers die off, you get the seed heads there. And that's what you save and use in your cooking and things like that. This is Florence fennel. Another lemon balm plant over there. Alright, I'm going to take you around. Alright, these are mint plants. This is a chocolate mint. It really doesn't have a medicinal purpose. It's just really good in teas and things like that. But it's really pretty as well. This one's spearmint. And you just cut the leaves, cut the stems back, and then, you know, take the leaves and dry them. Or you can use them fresh as well. They're very good to chomp on. And you can see this plant is very full. It's taken up this whole container. In the spring, I'm going to actually have to divide this plant so it can grow again next year. All right. Over here's my catnip or catmint plant, depending on who's making the call. And you cut it back just like you do the lemon balm. And you can actually use the flower buds. But you want to get nice, beautiful stems like this. These are really good stems to use. You don't want to use the ones that are really tiny. But you just cut this back, strip the leaves off the stem, and dry them. Alright. Now this one doesn't look so well because the weather's really taken a hit to it. This is a bee balm plant. It was really big about a month ago. But again, just cut the stems, strip the leaves, dry them out. Alright. Here's some rosemary. Again, it's like the sage. You want it to be in its second year before you start cutting it back so it can really develop a good, healthy root system and be very lush and have a better chance to come back. What you do is you'll take and you'll cut back almost to the main stem point, these. And you can either use these fresh as kebab skewers. People really like to do that. Or you can dry them out and grind them or use them as whole leaves in your food and in your herbal teas. Very good use for rosemary. Alright. I do have a few more herbs over here. Whether I can find them for you or not, I don't know, because the weather has killed them off, my younger ones. Alright, I see a couple more. This is a pineapple mint. It's mostly, again, just for looks because it's really neat. I love the variegated color. But this is a mint. And this is one of the things you have to be careful of with mint, is I had planted this in the ground along with my other mints because I didn't have containers yet. And then when I got containers, I went and I dug them up so they wouldn't continue to grow in the garden and spread, because mint spreads. I thought I had gotten all the pineapple mint, but earlier this year I saw this growing. And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't get it all. So I might next year, it hasn't really spread that much, but I might next year try digging it out again. That way it's actually not in the ground. All right, over here we got some oregano. Another beautiful herb. I like the texture of the tiny, tiny leaves backdrop against the huge leaves of the Swiss chard. But it's really dainty. I literally like it. But again, you just, on these herbs like this, you can cut them back 50% maybe. 30 to 50%, depending on how healthy your plant is. You want to look at the health of your plant before you prune any of it off at all. But you just cut the stems here, strip them of the leaves, and dry them out. Pretty simple. Alright, let's see what else we have. I grow a lot of herbs because they have a lot of different uses. I'll take you into my greenhouse because I do have a couple in here. I'm getting it ready for the winter. So I have more sage there that I had to move, and then I have some marjoram there, and the marjoram really took a beating, but it's still green, so it tells me it's still alive. So again, the marjoram's like the oregano. You just cut it back and dry it. Have some more catmint here. This is brand new this year. Lemongrass. Lemongrass is just like grass. You can cut it right down to the bottom here, and you know, just dry it, and you're good to go, and it'll keep on growing. It's just like grass. It's not a perennial though. In the colder climates it will die off and you'll have to start again next year. Here's that pineapple mint. When I had transplanted, I put it in that pot, but again, I guess I didn't get all of it. Then we got some more rosemary. Alright, we'll take you out to the last couple herbs I have. These are my elderberries, and if you see my elderberry syrup recipe, you'll see the berries that come off here that I got this year. These are 2-year-old plants, so, and then I have one over here. This is a sibling of these guys. Actually not a sibling, it's a sapling, sorry. It's from one of these guys here. Alright, and then I'm going to take you to an herb. You wouldn't think is an herb. It's a weed. But I'm going to show you it today because this is the herb I'm actually going to try to harvest. And I'll show you why I say I'm going to try to harvest. Alright, this is our wood pile and stuff back here. Alright. Can you see this plant? I'll take you in a little bit closer in just a minute. This is a burdock plant. A lot of people are very familiar with this plant, just not what it is. Let's see if I can take you in without tripping over the wood. See all those burrs? That's what the burdock plant's known for. And what we're going to harvest out of this is the roots. So I actually have to get in there, try not to get covered by all these burrs. I probably might even put a trash bag over myself so the burrs don't stick to me. And we're going to pull out the roots. And the roots is what we're going to use from the burdock plant. And I'll show you how that turns out a little bit later. Maybe in this video, or I'll do a quick video afterwards. But anyways, that's the herbs that I have in my garden this year. And that's how I harvest them. And thank you so much for watching. Any questions or comments, leave them below. And then always give it a thumbs up if you like this video, if it was helpful. Share it with your friends. And please subscribe to the channel so you can keep updated on what else is going on in my journey. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye now.